Welcome to the reboot, the relaunch, the remix? No, whatever it's called, we're going to call it Keep Your Eye on the Ball, your YouTube channel dedicated to all things Denver Bronco football from me, your host Adam, who has the heart of a true blue diehard Broncos fan, but is also kind of a hater and has the mind of a journalist, which is how I like to say that I'm kind of a hater. So let me tell you what we're going to talk about in this week's show. This week, obviously, it's Denver Bronco news, so I'm going to give you my thoughts on the recent re-signings to Cortland, Sutton, and Zach Allen. I will also be giving some thoughts on the future of what it looks like we're going to do with Nick Bonitto. I am also starting a segment that I like to call Because It's My Show. And in Because It's My Show, I'll be talking about some of the nerdier things that I have on my interest palette. This week, I will give you my thoughts on what I thought was a really good superhero movie and what was a really bad superhero movie, and you'll find out which two movies those were. And then to close the show, I'm just gonna call it Final Thoughts. No, I did not have a spiffy name for that, but I'll be just giving some rando thoughts on things that are maybe going on in the world, or things that maybe interest you pertaining to sports, whatever. They're just gonna be rando final thoughts. So let's jump into the meat and potatoes of the show. This past week, the Denver Broncos re-signed Cortland, Sutton, and Zach Allen to 4-year deals. How I feel about the Zach Allen deal is pretty much ecstatic. When you have a defensive end like that can impact a game both versus the pass and the run, they are as rare as Justin Herbert MVP seasons. Meaning when you have control of those pieces on your football team, you pay them that money. So I'm really glad that Zach Allen is here for the foreseeable future. Now, how I feel about Cortland Sutton, on the other hand, listen, this isn't anything personal, and I really do actually like Cortland Sutton, but, and this is the ginormous but, he has had 2 1,000-yard seasons in the last 5 seasons. In that same period of time, he has only had a full season, or only played a full season, exactly twice. So to give him that kind of a pay bump, I think sets a really bad precedent, even though I think he has been a model citizen and asking for a raise. Again, I think the team was in a weird spot because Cortland forced their hand through all the goodwill he did with the team. And because he asked for it the right way and hasn't done what you would say like John Franklin Myers is doing right now. Which brings us to another free agent Bronco in Nick Bonitto. He's not a free agent now. I know what I said. Relax. Per Sean Payton, it does look like Nick Bonitto will be the next Bronco to re-sign. I will say that the deal maybe is taking a bit longer, but I do anticipate that being done here soon. The number that you can probably expect for Nick Bonitto will be about $25 million, as that is what the trash defensive end in Kansas City, George Karlaftis, got. And keeping in mind that Karlaftis is not a Pro Bowler and not an All-Pro and not an anything. So the fact that he got a similar number means that a better player like Bonitto is going to get paid a little bit more. And now we move on to Because It's My Show. Now, like I said before, because it's my show, I will talk about any number of topics that may come across my brain. And this week, I had time to see 2 movies. This being Superman and Fantastic Four. So, my thoughts initially on Superman were really good. I loved David Corningsweet as Superman. I thought he really epitomized kind of like the Boy Scout type of persona that Superman is. I really liked, I can't think of her name, but the lady who played Lois Lane, I thought she came across as really tough, but not bitchy. And then Nicholas Hoult, I think, is probably the best Lex Luthor that we've seen on the big screen so far. Now, how I felt about Superman, I kind of felt the opposite about Fantastic Four. Pedro Pascal, for a guy who's such a good actor, really disappointed. I thought he was a really weak lead. Vanessa Kirby, I thought, was even more wooden than Brie Larson, which is really saying something. And I really didn't think there was a lot of action. There was only 2 fight scenes in the whole movie. So for as much as I liked Superman, Fantastic Four left me so lacking. And, if you liked it, that's fine. I'm just telling you my personal opinion. It left a lot to be desired. So on my rating scale, with 1 being from Justin to Kelly, do not ask, but yes, I did tech screen that one time. And 10 being the best movie ever made, I am going to give Superman I'm going to give him an 8.5. I would definitely go check it out again. So if you're asking, we can go Dutch. And as far as Fantastic Four, I'm going to give it a 5. Would not go see it again in the theaters. May check it out when it comes out on Disney Plus to see what I missed, but otherwise was left really unimpressed. And now this is a segue into the last part of the show for final thoughts. In this week's final thoughts, I'm going to tell you the difference between Baskin-Robbins employees, the WNBA, and Micah Parsons. Now, on the surface, that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I would agree with you. However, several Baskin-Robbins restaurants here in the area have closed recently due to basically not being able to pay their employees. And keep in mind, store managers and assistant VPs all got paid. These are the people actually manning the stores. Could you imagine being a 16 or 17-year-old kid who's basically worked all summer and gotten exactly nothing out of it? Yeah, I'd be pretty mad too. So why is that important when you compare that to the WNBA and Micah Parsons? Because the WNBA and Micah Parsons sound incredibly entitled and incredibly selfish when they say things like, pay us what you owe us. Now, whatever you think about the WNBA, and I have my thoughts, and whatever you think about Micah Parsons, and you have my thoughts, they are only owed what somebody's willing to pay them. And frankly, they have been getting paid. You can whine and you can complain about maybe they should be paid more or maybe paid less, or the way they're being paid should be handled better, but they still got compensated for their time. So in a world where everybody thinks they're owed something, the WNBA is not owed more than what they're getting, and Micah Parsons is not owed for more than what he's getting. You know who should get that money? Baskin-Robbins employees. So I hope you like the show. I hope you like the reboot. I'm going to try some stuff out and make it more interesting, and maybe I'll go on hiatus again after this week. Who knows? But anyway, thank you for checking us out. Remember to tune in up here. That is the website that I write for. That is the podcast that I podcast for. Check it out with all of just so many other things that we have on the site. Remember to keep your eye on the ball, and I'll talk to you next time.